You're always going to be playing catch-up from that point. And also the Reaper, it couldn't stay alive either. Like, the spawning pool positioning from Rhett there was just absolutely beautifully pretty, and it was amazing. It was awesome. So I'm wondering how Ganzi's going to adjust. Are we going to see the same sort of Reaper-type opening? And also, what kind of surprised me a little bit was Rhett made 6 slings early in that game. Whenever you're investing that much into lings that early in the game, like, you kind of have to do damage with them. Obviously, Rhett did do a lot of damage with them, but it's just, I'm just wondering if that's going to carry over. I wonder if that carries over to most of his EVTs. Because honestly, I haven't seen too much of Rhett's game. It's just been very unfortunate circumstances for me as far as actually being able to see his games.
Yeah, that's a really good point in terms of, and you know, knowing a player like Liquid, right, you're not really going to expect him to be making that many lings early on in the game. So definitely, maybe he has a little bit of an idea of Ganzi's playstyle. Maybe he had a feeling in his gut that maybe he might open for a Reaper expand build or some kind of scouting information. And you know, I wouldn't be surprised if you've seen maybe some replays or played against Ganzi in the past. But with that being said, let's go ahead and introduce our players for game number 2. It is going to be on ESV Cloud Kingdom, guys. This is the ladder edition. Of course, it's a 2-player map, top right and bottom left positions of the map. And we have Liquid Rhett, the Netherlands man himself. We're going to have him spawning in the top right position as the Blue Zerg. In the bottom left, we do have his opponent, Complexities Ganzi, spawning as the Red Terran.
I'm playing with my observing skills are up to par with good old Startail Legend. I was doing the zoom in rotate, just so you know, in case you weren't watching the stream.
I was not, I'm sorry.
Well, I'm glad I informed you of that, because it was awesome. You should actually go watch the VODs just to see how well I executed that.
Okay,
but
I will make sure I skip specifically to that part and then just close the stream afterwards.
That's fine. I'm absolutely okay with that. So right now we see Ganzi putting a Rax on the low ground, and some of you are like, oh my god, so cheesy. This is actually a really cool thing to do on this map. I don't know if you saw Lone Star Clash, but DeMuslim versus Destiny in the round of 16, DeMuslim sent it, well, most Overlords, most Zergs put their Overlords in the situation, in this area, right above where this Rax is. So you can just lift that Rax and then use the Marine to kill that Overlord. We see that Rhett right now, though, not doing that. And I was referring to Lone Star Clash because that's actually the first time I actually saw a player utilize that, and it was pretty cool to see. DeMuslim lifted his Rax, killed the Overlord. And then the game lagged out, and then Destiny sent his Overlord to the exact same location, and DeMuslim did the exact same thing. So a pretty cool story there out of Lone Star, but yeah, I really love seeing Terran players utilizing all the tricks you can do on this map.
Now, do you think it might be a little bit of a mistake to do this? I mean, you can't do this obviously to kill the Overlord, but do you think, because something I've been, like, honestly, I've like watched a few games of Destiny, and he's been saying a lot that when you build that Rax and you send the Marines, depending on the opening from the Zerg opponent, you might actually be able to trap the Marine and possibly kill it and go for a little bit of a counterattack. Now, with the build that Rhett's doing, his lings are going to be a little bit delayed, but I have heard that there's a specific timing. Well, like, you see how the Marine came out, right, under the ramp? There is a specific timing that Zerg can have depending on their opening, where they can actually have lings out on time to be able to kill
to get there before the Marine comes out?
Well, at the same time, at least. I don't know, I might be wrong, but I mean, I heard this before. I haven't seen it happen. Maybe it's like a 9 pull into a
I don't know if that would be hatched
like
first or anything. Yeah, I mean, I think that'd be really risky for a Zerg player, because if your opponent doesn't do that on the low ground, like, you're in a lot of trouble. But that does seem really interesting. It's always interesting to see what kind of strategies are entering into the mid game and considering every single one of them. I mean, today I spent like 2 hours trying to grind out a new method to stopping an 8-gate in PvP proxy without scouting it. It's always fun to just experiment with different types of builds and seeing how they play out. And look, it's a link getting into the main base of Ganzi. That's no fun. So Rhett's going to get all this information for absolutely free. Actually, that Zergling's probably mad I said that. It's not going to be free, but at the same time, Marine's approaching the natural expansion of Rhett, trying to do some damage.
Yeah, again, nice little pressure from Ganzi. It's going to be important for him to macro out back home. Looks like he's going to get the reactor onto the barracks of the yards. This is going to be reactor Hellions from Ganzi. He does have both of his gases as well, so maybe he's going to follow it up with a starport. He does have the expansion up and going as well, dropping a mule, in fact, just as I say that. And the opening Rhett's going for, is I think the 4 Queen build, which is going to allow him to extremely expand his creep across the map, something Rhett loves to do in the ZVT matchup. And it's going to give him just that much more mobility. We can see now both Queens are getting in position to drop the creep. Just as I say that, we do see more creep tumors coming out from Rhett. And overall, 55 supply for Rhett, 34 for Ganzi. And looks like Ganzi now just going to get started on his Hellions.
Yeah, also adding 2 engineering bays, so it looks like he's going to really prioritize bio in this game. Otherwise, getting 2 engineering bays at this point wouldn't make much sense. And yeah, I love what you said about Rhett getting those queens out. Creep spread is so important in the ZVT matchup, in any matchup actually. Maybe not ZVZ, you can have arguments about that. But yeah, in ZVT especially, the creep spread's so important. If you can get that going early on, and your opponent doesn't keep check of it, which is of course the goal of these Hellions, then you not only do you get vision, obviously you get the speed bonus, you can get your third a little bit faster and feel comfortable protecting it, and it's just no good at all for the Terran player. So really love seeing this play from Red.
Absolutely, and we can see Ganzi now. Looks like he's going to give himself the control of these watchtowers. And he already sees the creep. He knows how scary this is going to be. He knows that he's going to actually turn around, go the other way, maybe try to deny some of these creep tumors from continuing to hatch. Is he going to get this tumor? Yeah, it looks like he... Is he? No, he's not going to get the tumor. Okay. So Rhett gets away with that creep tumor. It's like he's also going to get a spine crawler, but the Hellions trying to move up to the main. But beautiful use of the Zerglings there by Liquid Red. Going to deny that from... deny Ganzi coming up the ramp, and so far let's see what Ganzi is doing in his main base. Looks like his upgrades are going with the double evo chambers. He also did add 2 additional barracks. We'll add reactors to them as well. So what kind of timing do you think Ganzi is going to follow this up? Is he going to take a third, or is he going to go for a 2 base timing?
It might be just a 1-1 Stims timing push here. I mean, it looks like they're going to finish around the same time. And that's scary. 1-1 Marines with Stim. But again, the weak point of that is not having Medivacs on the field. So I'm wondering where that starport is. He hasn't started it yet. So that makes me hesitate a little on that call. But it's still a good push nonetheless, provided you keep most of your Marines alive. But that being said, though, Rhett, he's getting a lot of lings on the field here, starting +1/+1 of his own, so it definitely does remain to be seen. And like a key point behind any sort of mid-game push from the Terran player is to deny a third. And the third isn't down yet for Red. He's investing a lot of money, a lot of gas into these early units. So this could easily backfire on Ganzi if he does decide to push out.
Yeah, and this is looking a little bit similar to game number 1 from Red's opening. He did have the macro hatch in the previous game. Looks like he's going to go for the same opening, getting a Baning Nest also with his 2 evolution chambers. Will have his upgrades fairly soon. And is he going to throw down the infestation pit? I guess we're going to have to see if he decides to go for the same kind of tech, or is he going to go immediately into mutas. Honestly, in this position, would you be recommending mutas, Axel, or would you actually go for the infestor link?
I think mutas are great on this map, to be honest. As a push is going into the third. Actually, that's not a push. That's just some Hellions. You can call it a push if you want. But yeah, I kind of like mutas on this map. I'll be honest. There's a lot of there's a decent amount of airspace. It's a very big map, so you can dodge from base to base doing damage. The bases are a decent distance away from each other once you get past 3 bases, so that can be good in that regard. But then again, in the last game, Brett, he did really well with those infestors, and it looks like he's going for that infestation pit. Not a bad choice at all either. You know, I guess the only bad choice right now would be teching straight to Brewlords without doing anything else. But pretty cool play here from Red. The problem is Ganzi has a pretty sizable force coming, and the infestors are not out yet. But as I say that, Ganzi backing away, so Red really setting himself up nicely in this game.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with what you're saying. And Red, you know, just to add on top of that, he does have a decent amount of lings on the map. In fact, he does 42. And Ganzi really trying to move around to find himself the best angle to possibly engage into Rhett's army. But the thing is, Rhett is prepared for this. In fact, morphing additional banelings. Also going to get started with his burrow. And the infestation pit now is also researching pathogen glands. And right in that half-minute mark where the upgrade is almost completed, you do want to start your infestors. So we're probably going to see Rhett start infestors anytime soon. And I really like the moves that Ganzi is doing with his army. He's kind of giving Red the little bit of, you know, he's like, hey, am I going to attack you? Am I not going to attack you? He's pretty much keeping Red on his foot to see exactly if he's going to come into an engagement or not.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Using his army to distract Red while dropping it in the natural expansion, but Red has some lings there. He's ready. He's solid with his Overlord. That's not going to work on him. So the medevac going to proceed into the main base. Drop on the high ground there at the same time. Ganzi advancing forward with his Hellions and his Marines at the top side of the map here. Rhett, 4 infestors on the way. Some Banelings and Zerglings here as well. The Banelings do not have speed, but Rhett's going to go for it, trying to go for the surround on the Marines and Hellions. Banelings coming in from behind, but nice splitting there from Ganzi, and Rhett not able to do as much damage as he definitely was intending to.
Yeah, absolutely beautiful moves by Ganzi, stimming and just pretty much microing his heart out to really try to defend against his Banelings, and beautiful moves again, really killing all these Banelings and Lings. But Rhett, huge supply lead right now, 142 to 99, and the problem here is Ganzi is still on 2 base, not taking the third behind this, and Rhett already has a Ling. pretty much burrowed in the third expansion, so he knows that this is possibly a very strong, aggressive push, or possibly a 2-base timing, which it seems like it's going to be. And Ganzi reinforcing again, Axel. More Marines, more Hellions, and more Siege Tanks moving across the map to reinforce with those medevacs. And Ganzi seems to be yet even more aggressive onto Rhett.
This is, like, yeah, you're right. He doesn't even have a third command center on the field. That's definitely really interesting, investing all of his money into all of this aggression. He definitely wants to try to kill Rhett here. Going to be moving a medevac into the main base. His ground army, though, isn't too fantastic. I just see, what, is there like 16 Marines there? And like 1 tank? That doesn't raise any eyebrows, at least not from me.
Yeah.
So Rhett, again, playing this really well, has a nice unit composition, has plenty of infestors, Zerglings on the field. He's looking pretty darn good in this game.
Yeah, and you know, just to add on top of that, you also have to think of the tech Rhett has. Ganzi not really sitting on, I don't think he's on tier 3 yet. He's still on Marines, he's still on Siege Tank, so he still has that mid-game composition that most Terrans still rely on. But the thing is, Rhett already has infestors on the map. He has these amazingly upgraded Zerglings. He's also transitioning into an Ultralis Cavern, but there's a little bit of a drop here into the main of Liquid Rhett. Looks like there's going to be enough Lings, but again, Ganzi in a really nice position in between the Evo Chamber as well. The Bane Nest going to do maximum damage to the Lings, but overall, Rhett is going to clean it up. And again, man, Rhett moving across the map with the infestors, but Ganzi might actually be caught a little bit thin here. And all the Lings are going to get in, surrounding all the Marines. Fungal's going down. Beautiful Fungal by Liquid Rhett, really killing all these Marines so quickly. And now Rhett moving forward with his units. Is he going to pull back, or is he going to continue on the aggression?
Reinforcing with 2 Ultras here. And again, all of his meaty upgrades are about to finish. He pretty much cleaned up that army from Ganzi. Has a decent bank as well. The 4th is down. 5th is down. Needs to saturate those bases as fast as he can. Let me look at the income tab really quick. 75 to 57 harvesters in favor of Rhett. So yeah, Rhett's still doing. He's still in a good situation here. Ganzi not in a terrible situation. Not down too far in supply. Gonna be harassing this 4th from Rhett, but again, Ultras coming out. A bunch of Lings and infestors here should be enough to clean this up.
Yeah, absolutely. If you look at the units tab, actually 2 Ultras out for Liquid Rhett. These bio units are going to go down. 137 supply to 113. Ganzi pretty quickly losing supply. Looks like he's finally going to be able to establish that 3rd once he decides to use a scan and kill that Zergling. Is he going to do that? Come on, Ganzi. Okay, he's not going to do that. He's actually just going to land it on top of the Ling. Interesting decision there. But going to finally establish that 3rd expansion. But the problem here is Rhett way ahead in bases. He's going to be on 5 bases here very soon.
Yeah.
Although he's almost going to mine out in the main. His economy is just looking so much more superior to Ganzi. But, you know, Ganzi, I like his aggression, but the problem is his army is just not meaty enough to be able to combat an army composition that Rhett currently has, which is Ultras, Infestors, Lings. His upgrades are superb. And Ganzi, man, needs to pull back, and that's exactly what he's doing.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, I think Ganzi definitely still in this game. He got 3-3 really fast. His Marauders and Marines already 3-3, and I said Marauders. He has Marauders on the field, and Rhett has a lot of Ultras. Marauders are pretty darn good against Ultras, especially when they're 3-3. They have Stim, and they have Medevac supporting overhead. Rhett going to try to do a little bit of a counterattack, losing a lot of Lings there. Gosh. Again, we have to question the decision to go Ultras here. I don't know. Like, there's a lot of Marauders on the field. I think it's going to come down to the fungal growth to a certain extent, and making sure that the units stay in place and aren't able to kite too much. But that's so many medevacs overhead as well. I think this game can go either way, to be honest.
Honestly, it's all going to come down to the next engagement. It's either going to do it good for Ganzi, where he is going to be able to come back in the game, or Rhett's just going to have another advantage. But it looks like Fungal's going down. Just as I say that, Alex, you are correct in terms of the Fungals. These are beautiful Fungals by Rhett, completely killing the army of Ganzi. Although those Marauders did do a lot of damage to the Ultras, there's just way too many units remaining here for Rhett. And again, Rhett hugely ahead in supply, 158 to 88.
Yep.
Ganzi looks like he's pulling back, continuing making Marines and Marauders. I just don't know if it's going to be enough, though.
Yeah, Rhett handling that aggression, or handling that engagement the best he could, nailing those Fungals, keeping those Marines and Marauders in place while the Zerglings came from behind. Like, not only was it cool that the Ultras were doing a lot of damage, but in the middle part of that engagement, Zerglings came out of nowhere from the other side. Just really cool play there from Rhett, really nice positioning, and this Ling is probably the hero of the game. He was burrowed at the 3rd, probably shivering in his boots, as the command center keeps trying to smash on top of him, but you can't do that. You can't land on top of a burrowed Zergling. Even though the Zergling's underground, you can't land on top of it, and a scan going to go down to finally clean that up.
Okay, I'm going to fire back at you with the same question. Do you think Ganzi's build was proper against what Rhett was doing? Do you think he could have changed something? What could he have changed to possibly give himself a little bit of presence maybe on the map?
I think if he had split his units better and not just gotten completely caked by all that green slime from the fungal growths, the engagement would have been better. Do I think that would have turned the engagement into his favor? Not necessarily. We've seen a lot of like. The thing is, with the Zerg, you have to be able to disrupt. You have to be able to disrupt the drone count, disrupt their economy, disrupt their. I like to compare it to a train. You know how it's like. There's a rhythm to Zerg play. If you can disrupt that rhythm, you're going to be in good shape. But Ganzi hasn't been able to do that. Red has just been on top of everything Ganzi has thrown at him. And we do have an engagement here at the third of Ganzi. More fungal growths going down. All these Marines and Marauders are going to die. Ultras sweeping forward with a gigantic claws. And he should be able to clean this up. A lot of corruption in the air as well, dealing with those medevacs. Ganzi is going to lose. He's going to survive. The Ultras actually
Ganzi survives, and
yeah,
the reason for that, if you notice this engagement, the second one with the Ultras, Ganzi had a much higher Marauder count, so he was able to quickly take down the Ultralisks. Beautiful fungals again were done by Red, but the thing is, Ganzi had a much more heavy Marauder composition this time around. But Ret looks like he is going to transition into Broodlord tech. He does have a decent amount of Corruptors on the map. I really like this decision making. Now Ganzi's sort of in this position where, like, do I make Vikings or do I continue making Marauders? And Marauders don't attack air, so I'm sorry, you have to transition into Vikings.
Yeah.
But does he have any idea that the
does.
Broodlords... No, he has no idea. So he's going to continue making Marauders. Looks like he's transitioning into Ghosts, just as I say that. But, man, Ghosts are just not good against Broodlords like they used to be.
I feel bad because I automatically, like, laughed a little that he was going for Ghosts late games TVZ. We don't see it that much anymore. I mean, honestly, after that nerf, that really hard nerf there from Blizzard, like, the ZVT late game has been a question. Most people are just going for, like, mass Thors and Vikings and just completely skipping Ghosts altogether. But we'll see if Ganzi can make it work. Obviously, it's nice because you can EMP the Infestors and prevent the fungal growths. And then, of course, Snipe, not as effective against those Broodlords. So right now, Ganzi going to back away, not feeling confident enough to engage this. But Red, he's just going to keep going forward.
Yeah, Red moving in with the Broodlords. A lot of Infestors and Lings as well. Going to be here for backing for the Broodlords. And who's going to engage first? It looks like Red is going to run in with so many Zerglings. Broodlords are doing so much damage to his bio units, and there's just nothing. Not enough units, not the right kind of units to be able to kill this Broodlord force. And GG gets called from Ganzi. So Liquid Red, oh my god, man, playing absolutely beautifully game number 2. He is going to go up 2-0 in this best of 5 series.